Is that it's southern exposure, so it all, actually during the day, I'm cold, it keeps my house a lot better. Like, it's so much solar energy. Yeah, that's what carries out. It's fair. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? That's pretty good. That's all.
Are you running away today?
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
Ooh,
Why
that
did I
looks
do
nice.
Here today.
I like it.
Well, and then I was at a gun show a couple of weeks ago and I found two bearskin gloves and I'd never seen them. You don't, bear doesn't
You
make
have a whole
a bear.
set?
Now I have a whole set.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's free free.
I'm telling you.
Which is really nice.
I know there was something happening.
So that's what she was like.
No, I know.
Okay.
Like the kitchen and the bathroom, that's where they're going. So it takes them in there.
Oh, did it or?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just gonna say, for 2 months.
Monica's in July.
Anyway,
When
she
she-
was because we trapped on my property.
There you go. But I mean, when you just see it, you know,
Yeah.
on paper.
Um,
Right?
Almost done.
Everything's up and running, Krista?
Yep.
Jack it up.
All right, I'm gonna call the school board meeting for the school district in order. All members are present at the time. Next up is our board financial audit, and Steve, you're on that this time?
Yeah, I asked Deb to bring up the invoice for the high school and floor apps that were put in, because I don't remember speaking about it, talking about it, hearing about it until after it was installed. That could just be my memory. And the wraps, there was 2 invoices, it was totaled $4,160. And my second question, which she was trying to find, that was how much as a board did we allow for the district to spend without our consultation? And she brought up one of the policies that says anything that's over $15,000 needs to have 3 appraisals done. And like I said, I couldn't remember what we had okayed, and I was just curious. And when she said she was gonna look into it more and try to find the exact amount, I could not remember what that number was.
I thought it was fine.
I thought it was 5. I thought it was 5 apples.
I thought it was 10, but I am not, like I said, my memory is not the best. She didn't, she couldn't pull it off top of it either, so she was gonna look it up and send me one.
Oh, really very nice. I was just trying to see if I could answer the question by looking at the policy.
Anything else, Steve?
Oh, that was it.
Did you have an opportunity?
Yeah, I did. So there is some invoices from December 18th for scholar buy. There's 2 of them. One's for 19,495, and the other one is 4,950. The first one is for the laptops they purchased for the teachers, and then the second part of it is for the Google Workspace program that goes with it. That was that, and then some Amazon, purchases from 12/31. Hang time, I had one for 1,600. Looks like it was some tables and such. for the space, and then there was some office supplies, and art classroom had some supplies. I also had, transition skills for the coffee shop on there as well. Looks like they purchased quite copyright, so that was a great one.
All right, next we have the state board convention that we went to, and that was Derek and Chuck and I and stuff. Do you say, Derek?
I sure can. It was a worthwhile trip. First time being there, so got to be part of the resolutions committee and our delegate. Which was an issue dynamic, a lot of decoupling and coupling questions, which in regard to the voucher school versus our public schools. And a lot of the votes actually ended up being like 173 to 100. So not a lot of necessarily unanimous votes, which I actually thought there would be more of. But it also tells us that, yeah, if you don't send a representative, then you know what you're saying. That's kind of process. So it was good that we could be there. And so I can send those votes for what basically we chose to pass, which then the WASB will represent on behalf of all of this. The other thing I would say is there was that app, and in that app you can view the slides that a lot of the folks presented on. And so there were 3 or 4 sessions on referendum that would be helpful for everybody to have some knowledge on. So make sure. I don't have to send that app to everybody. Okay, so I'll just send that out. So everybody has it and this helps with work.
I'll just kind of pigtail up because Derek was talking about the referendums. You know, most schools, when we saw the map, have had or will have or are currently under an operating referendum. So there's lots of opportunities for breakout sessions to learn about that process. And I did quite a bit of that. I think we all did, just to, you know, kind of get ourselves geared up for that probable eventuality here. You know, good information like Derek said. You know, our team is doing the right things. You know, the timeline is right. Everything so far is so good. That was good. Oftentimes, some of the best parts of these conferences are getting to talk with our fellow board members and colleagues from around the state. And that was the case again last week. Not only other board members from around the state, but also our team here. We get to have some nice conversations in the car, talk about school and thoughts and philosophies on things. And it's always just a nice little trip to get to know one another and, you know, talk about schools too.
Most certainly, and like as things like you said, there was a lot of sessions in reference to the referendums and the operating or the capital bonds. And one of the things that, with the operating expenses is that, you know, to find out that your staff is, you know, with the inflationary rate, CPI out there, that teachers and staff are actually not doing very well in their salary schedules. And so to turn around and look at that, and then the fact also that there aren't very many, not as many people are going into the education. So the one lady I was listening to there, she looked at EPA, there were 904 open positions throughout the state. And so to some of the stuff I also listened to was in reference to, you know, getting good quality teachers and retaining good quality teachers. So if you're also going to do that, you also have to look at the scale, you know, the pay scale. So I mean, with this, our possible operating referendum and laying the teachers and education and staff and compensation, it's been a challenge, but it would be quite a thing to deal with. And we've got some work to do if we're looking at the operation, the time frame, and take that into consideration, what stakeholders we're going to involve in those types of things. Always a good conference. We didn't have any bad weather, so that was kind of nice. We didn't have to drive through anything. So, good drivers. I got to sit in the back seat.
We only ran what, one red light?
Yeah, Chuck won every I Spy competition. He's really good at it.
I just thought Derek was trying to drive like the Milwaukeeans down there.
They thought we were local.
He just, I mean, they really don't stop. They just go right in that intersection and stuff, so I just thought Derek was mimicking one of those. All right, but it's a good event, so if anybody gets an opportunity to go, you really should take that opportunity. All right, next up is the approval of the agenda. I'll entertain motion for the approval of the
Wait.
agenda.
We got
Yeah, that's one.
E,
What I missed?
And
1E.
Oh, I'm sorry, let's go to item B, yep, board policy 3000. So this is an updated, thing from Neola. And I know that, you had talked to Patrick on some of that, I kind of checked in, but you seem like you were in on it a little quicker than I was.
Yeah, well, the one I just had was around policy 205, but it was around driver's education and students who was coming to the school district. The only reason I brought that forward is there's been some other conversations I had with Jake and Matt that provide more clarity on driver's education and if we're gonna supply it for all students within the district or if it's just students that attend Glencoe City. And so I thought it'd be helpful to provide clarity there. So it's nothing that we can act on tonight because it wasn't on the agenda. It's just awareness that it will be on the March agenda and we can talk about it as a board on how we want to handle that.
What number was that, Derek?
It was 3120.05, 3120.05. Let's just say the same as
Are we getting, individuals asking about our driver's ed program, Rich?
We've had a couple kids that have inquired about it that are open enrolled students, not our students, so that's where it comes up where
Yeah.
they feel that they find it cheaper to go here than go either through the tech school or through the school that they're open enrolled to.
And these students, they don't have, driver's education in their class structure through their school? In the area that they reside in?
Correct.
I'm sure it's offered to them, because if they're in the district, that, I'm sure they have the program offered, whether it's, where Cumberland has it, outside of school, but they offer it, and it's through the, Northwood Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, not too many schools have it
No,
in-house
In-house,
anymore.
right.
very few in Wisconsin now, and the couple that have come, I've come across or that have come through, it's very much like that. It's more expensive going through the tech or something, or contacting, a couple of the smaller things have it through. Menominee has a couple of,
Done right.
private, done right, things like that, and it's a little more expensive. Through here, it's very reasonable
So we
compared to
just don't have
others.
specificity enough in the
Right.
policy
So it'd be
itself.
good to have that clarity, anyone who's interested, or maybe we say we're not interested in having that, so.
Yeah, it's a nice compliment if everybody else isn't doing it and other districts aren't. Is it a benefit to us to do it or a liability for us to do it at this point?
So Baldwin has an online program that anybody can, from any district can use. And it's like $90, $99 for just the class, but then you have to have the driving part from wherever you go. That's the only thing, I mean, I don't know, I talked to Jake briefly about that. I don't know what that looks like on our end for us to, that's
Schedule
the only thing I
outside
know of
hours.
that's.
One of the other things was that, depending when the class is offered to and when the class during the day for the actual, like that one's on online, so it's a little more flexible. And, Jake used to, offer the morning times, so there was a little more flexibility in the summer hours, things like that for the class time. So there's a lot of different components that
Christmas on the have a dialogue about taking it down,
So you want that on the next meeting?
please.
And then here it's saying Jake says he doesn't really have time for the students he has, so
are.
not sure that we
Hard to
want to open
schedule.
up that can of worms for Jake without having his discussion on that too. Right?
I don't think it'd be a lot of kids, but, it's, and I think he only teaches the class during the summer, correct?
Now,
Yeah.
So some of
No,
those
it's just
kids,
summer.
they have to wait a while too, if
Mhm.
they can't, if they're older kids in the class, they can't take the class, so you try to work it out Where I know in other places they'll have it like 3 times a year, they'll offer the class. And if it's online, then, you know, it's not a big deal.
Right. Anything else on that? All right, now can we move to the agenda? Move on the agenda.
Oh, you're running the meeting.
Let's do it. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion's made by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Steve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried. Next up is our open forum timeframe. This is for community members and community members. Okay,
It's not honest, I think, you know.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of policy review and other items, but I don't know how we do email conversation with public forum, but no, we don't. The other feedback I got is that the speaker is still not moved and we can hear Krista typing. It's kind of hard to hear.
Well, they can still hear me typing.
Yeah, so I don't know how the speakers.
You just got that now? Now?
It's kind of consistent though.
Somehow we need to ask Frank.
It's, the microphone should be up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's speaker
Okay.
logistics. I think people online on the video have a hard time.
You mean microphone logistics?
Yeah, what else? Speaker phone?
Speaker.
Microphone.
Okay, I was just,
Sorry.
I'm confused a bit there, okay.
all right, next up is our consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that anybody needs clarification or would like them to be removed for further discussion?
The only thing that I was kind of confused by was the shared, the Spring Valley.
Yeah, the 6603 agreement?
Yeah, where it was like a 20% shared, but then we're charging 2 days a week of mileage? Or was there like, are they going 1 day a week?
No,
or 2 days?
it's 2 half-days,
So okay,
yes.
that makes sense. I was
That way,
kinda
if
curious
there's
on the
2
split,
students, if
2 days
there's,
of travel and
yes.
20%.
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or need any items pulled from the agenda, consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So,
Motion's made by Steve. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Second by Chuck. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carried. Next up is our administrative reports. Aaron, you're first on the list.
All right. An update on our childcare numbers, which will be wonderful in a little while here. Tiny Tots has 21 enrolled full-time students with 7 families on the wait list. 4 of those families will be starting in March, and that is, those 4 families will be going in the 6 weeks to 1 year age group. At Tiny Toppers, there's 38 enrolled. 26 of those are in the 3 to 4 year old program, or in the 3 to 4 year old group, and then 12 are in the 4K group. 2 more families have inquired, but there's no confirmation within that. And then for the Hilltopper Hang Time and their crew, there's 86 enrolled. The AM averages 25 to 30 students and the PM averages 35 to 40. Beth, on your open days, like when we don't have school, how many do you average? About 50 to 60 generally, I think was the number.
If we have a field trip, the number is definitely typically higher, but yeah.
Luckily, on our day that we had to close last Monday, when we lost power, luckily there was not that many on that cold and no power day. Luckily, there was not very many phone calls. A lot of them were the teachers, staff, staff kids and everything like that. So, but those numbers continue to, people, it's a good thing and they continue to grow, and Beth and her whole crew do a fabulous job. So, as you can tell by the pictures, there's lots of fun things happening constantly. So she does a wonderful job and we continue to hear great things. When the weather is nicer and they come over to visit, I know one of Jamie's favorite things is when there's little ones rolling down the hallway and all those great things. So it's just a wonderful program that continues to make everybody smile, and it may be a very busy place, and when you're walking through, you can definitely hear the happiness and the kids playing. It may look like chaos, but that's one of the things that I absolutely love about it, because you walk in and you see the I don't know, I don't even know the tumbling mats and everything all over because they're building and they're playing and you just know that they are having the best time and that's the way it should be. Moving on, I think it goes hand in hand, Child Development Day. Darla is a wonderful person and has, you know, continued to add right to our chart there with that graph. She started collecting that data and put it together from 2019 all the way up to this year's. We had attending this year 30 and the Child Development Day number was 40. So we'll wait to see what that comes for our 4K enrollment for the fall. But as always, the parents filled out that ages and stages questionnaire. I think our most prevalent this year, a definite increase was speech and language needs. And I think we will continue to see that need increase. Jamie was down to visit and we see and hear that need across the board. But knowing that and knowing where we're at is just one of those things, and that's why we do this. We want to be able to identify those students, but also seeing and meeting those families, those little bodies coming in to get to know the room and get a first meet with some of those staff if those aren't in there. We also had the open enrolled in students coming in. Some of them came in, some are already in Beth's program, kind of know a little bit, but identifying those students, getting to meet them and their families is always a great thing. So we had those 30 families coming in. We had 2 actually sick. Some were out on vacation. It happens every year, as you can tell by the numbers, but enrollment for the fall always comes up and we end up with a good number each year. Next on mine is mental health services. It actually fits right in because I got an email the other day of, we have more enrollments coming in, can we increase our days? So right, as of last week, they were scheduled Mondays through Thursdays and kind of here all day. We leave a few minutes in between each session, usually about a 15-minute chunk, because sometimes that time goes over, sometimes they walk students back, sometimes they need to take some notes. So they wanted to increase to Friday mornings also. We already filled up 3 more spots on Friday mornings. So last year we had 33 referrals with 21 students scheduled. That means maybe it just wasn't a good fit. Maybe the parents didn't sign the permission and paperwork. Or they're already receiving outside services, something like that. This year, we had 16 continuing students from those 21 students scheduled last year. 23 new referrals, and my new number, because I actually had 2 more scheduled this afternoon and 1 late last week. 35 students scheduled this year, receiving that Rolling Hills support. Which is a wonderful thing, and we hope to continue that. And maybe later on, we'll have to extend it into Friday afternoons also. But it's great to have that bit there for students. It just really reinforces our commitment to that overall wellness for all of our students and getting them any need that they may have. Sometimes it has to do with anxiety, depression. Sometimes it even has to do with homework and being confident enough to do some of those skills or having the confidence to speak in front of a class. They talk about all sorts of different things. And it's always student-led. If they don't feel like talking that day, they might try to do it through something else, playing a game or even working with Play-Doh, sand, all of the stuff, listening to music. It just depends on the day and the student. And since we haven't done a board report for a while, I'm going all the way back to October and vision screening when the Glen Hills Lions Club conducted a spot vision screener for all elementary students, including tiny toppers and tiny tots. And I think even Beth was impressed that they were able to screen those littles with the spot vision screener.
That's interesting.
There was a total of 329 students, and I'm not leaving out middle school or high school. We just usually ask if there's any concerns that the teachers have about any students that they may see squinting, or even students that have glasses that sometimes you can tell like maybe the glasses aren't up to snuff anymore. So we get all those students in. Out of 329 students, there was 33 referrals sent home to families. So as always, Trin and the whole line Club Crew does a wonderful job coming in and helping out with that. The flu vaccine clinic, this is always a busy time trying to get everybody in, but there was not as many students that came through. I do need to find the numbers from last year, and I believe that may have gotten tucked away with Tammy last year, so I need to talk between Tammy and Trin and find some of that information. But 24 students this year on November 5th were administered the flu vaccine, and then that was with St. Croix Public Health, and then we also collaborated, Ms. Humphrey collaborated with the same day with Western Wisconsin Health, and they provided flu and COVID to staff and their families that were interested. So 15 flu vaccines and 7 COVID vaccines. Next year, we're going to try to time it a little bit differently, so it's later afternoon and early afternoon and early evening for them to try to space it out. We're usually doing it over lunchtime so that staff can come in during lunch, but then maybe try to reach out to others too. We have an opportunity to do a free vaccination clinic with the same staff from St. Croix County and Western Wisconsin Health. They actually received a grant along with Pierce County that's hosting a free vaccination clinic. So we are going to reach out for all uninsured children, including those who are American Indian and Alaska Native. That would cover all the school vaccinations for those, like all the immunization records. So you think of going in and getting all your immunizations as a kid, that would cover all those immunizations. So Ms. Humphrey is after everybody for those immunization records, and this would cover everything. So alleviating any of those barriers to those families that have a hard time sometimes getting to the doctor and getting all those immunizations. This would be a clinic that would provide all of those, and they'll come right to GC and do that. So she is going to coordinate to get all that information in, but Western Wisconsin Health and Public Health will provide all the communication out to the families for that. And we were able to come up with a May 1st date for that. So hopefully we'll get a nice turnout. If we don't get a big turnout though, it might change it up a little bit, but I'm hoping we'll get a pretty good turnout. That was a lot of information, some backdated a little bit. Any questions or any comments on any of it?
Ms. Faith,
Mm-hmm.
looking at the bar chart,
Yeah,
the red bars indicate an age qualified to participate in Child Development Day.
Mhm.
So that's kind of that total population. The blue then are the kids or the children that participated in the day. So that's a subset of the red, I assume. And then there's the yellow bar that says those that have enrolled in for next fall.
mm-hmm.
And the yellow bars are higher than what, so does that indicate that there's a lot not participating in the Child Development Day, but yet still come and enroll?
I usually get about 4 calls that say there's nothing, I have no concern. I have 4 to 5 calls each year. I have no concerns. I don't need to bring my child in. I also have some, like we have some that are in the early childhood program already identified, and they don't want to come. I had 2 on the list that were on vacation, and then we always have probably 5, anywhere from 5 to 10 that move in or that we have no clue about that come in over the summer. So there's a big growth usually each time.
Yeah.
This last year was the first time there wasn't a huge growth.
It's good.
2020 to 21, that didn't go up, but it's still.
Mhm. Yeah,
No, that's good. That's just
yeah.
consistent.
one of my favorite parts is like being able to go through, we have the checklists of everything, like they're able to do this, they're doing this, they went. The best thing is when they walk away from their parents and they're so excited to go in the room and play and there's no tears, there's nothing, and they love it and they're going and walking in with their friends and all of that stuff. It's just the best thing ever. And they don't want to leave. They want to stay at school.
Any other questions?
Of the, I'm just trying to find it here. Of the 38 that signed up for 2024,
Yep.
25, did all 38 go into our kindergarten program?
I do believe so, yes. I have one stay back, I think.
Stay
No,
back in the-
EC, no, sorry, that was an early childhood student that wasn't yet ready to go to 4K. They were still young enough to stay in 4K. All of them went to kindergarten, unless they were, I'm trying to think of the list. I'd have to look at the list for kindergarten, but I think all of our ones, even the open enrolled in ones, stayed for kindergarten.
Which is your point, like staying
Mhm.
in districts too, though.
I'm saying,
Like staying in districts too,
Yeah.
though, didn't go somewhere else.
right,
Yes.
right.
I think any of our 4Ks that were like open enrolled in stayed for kindergarten. I don't think they left after.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Everything good?
All right, so right before Christmas, we did our winter assessments for Fastbridge and Ames Web for Act 20. Typically for that, I normally wait till January. I've done that for years and years for the winter benchmark, but I did bump it up this year. It actually went very well. I was kind of nervous with the scheduling with Christmas and everything, but it was nice to have that done before break instead of right when they came back. So then what that allowed us to do is that first week back that we had staff and students, we were able to have our grade group meetings and go through all that information. So from there, if you click on the link that I have for the ES growth on there, it shows those growth marks that the students had according to typical growth, aggressive growth, and that. Is it not working on yours?
Yeah, to get to commence access, so it's like.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll do that for you.
Yeah.
And we could pull it up here because I don't have names on it. You could click on it. But I'm pleased to say, like, according to like excellent growth, as far as Fastbridge and Ames Web, I had
getting
198
it?
students make that excellent growth, which is huge. That was for reading and for
I
math.
assume you're not. gonna have
Again,
access.
with the kiddos, what we're just trying to do, God, none of you can. Okay, I'll fix that, sorry, guys. Should've told
We've
me
got
before
good
tonight.
imaginations.
You do. But I want you to see the data, 'cause it's really good. We're moving in the right direction, which was good. It was kind of like a big relief to sit through those meetings. We go line item for line item with every student. We look at, this is their beginnings, before and fall, this is where they're at now. Granted, that's my biggest push down there is seeing growth. Some are gonna go at a faster rate, some are gonna go at a smaller rate. Some of them might not make benchmark yet, and that's okay, but as long as we see them growing and progressing.
Do
So-
you see the growth like skewed to the population that needs the most growth? You know, I know we're kind of.
Say that again.
Do you see the growth kind of skewing to the population of students that need the growth to catch up to baseline? Or is it
Kinda,
pretty
yes,
even?
because you're my high level ones, and those are the ones that I have to be careful with, where they're already in the 98th percentile, right? They can't grow any farther. I mean, they can, but it's gonna be harder, so their growth is gonna look a lot different, right? But again, we wanna make sure that that scaled score is still going up, but their percentile growth still might drop a little bit. But again, it's trying to focus on all the kids and not just the certain ones, my super low ones, my super high ones. It's making sure that each of those kids are trying to make what they need to with that growth. So after the grade group meetings, that's when we then have our data analysis meetings with our interventionists. So Laura Draxler, Morgan Shelton, Shayna Hoffman. And we make sure that the services those kids are getting in tiered interventions are appropriate, are intensified if we need to change it up. So basically, again, looking at even more data and information to make sure what we're doing is kind of really making a difference for those kids. In the report that you do have access to, you can see the numbers of those intense interventions that we have. The 18 students that are receiving academic support, those are our students that we're providing pull-up like Title I services, but they're not quite where they're having to have intense interventions
for the RTI process. So again, it just shows which of those kids are getting additional instruction outside of their reading and math of what they're already getting in the classroom. From there, you'll
Can
see,
I back up?
yeah,
Explain, I'm familiar with Fastbridge, we
Okay.
talked about that in here.
yeah.
I don't know what Ames Web Plus is that just a similar type thing?
Yeah, so that's for Act 20. So remember, Act 20 had a certain requirement that they said everybody in the state had to use. A huge percentage of most of the state was already using Fastbridge. And they went with Ames Web for Pearson Next, a different testing company. So we have to kind of do both, okay? Because we have to stick with a district-wide assessment so we can compare these students from year to year. And then we have to have our K-3 assessment for Act 20, which by law states it has to be done with Ames Web Plus.
Now that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, and this would be our second year with the Ames Web requirement for Act 20. So that only goes through third grade. Then next we have personal safety units. That's something that we are going to be starting within our life skills class that Peyton Miller does. So you can kind of see the breakdown there of what would be covered K2, 3, 5. It's just basically emotional awareness and self-protection, setting and enforcing boundaries, and seeking help from trusted adults. So we have put out information to parents, letting them know that these are the things and the bullets that they're going to be talking. So right in front of you breaks down each chapter of what it is, very surface level stuff, but just kind of covering the personal safety part. This is something that has not been done for our kiddos in the past. So as we're just trying to make sure that they have all the information to go along with that, maybe this was a part of it. So again, if parents do not want to have their kids involved in that, they just let us know and then they'll have an alternative activity for that. Special education schedules is something that we've taken a look at. Erin and I sat down with the SPED department, the elementary. We made sure that all of the needs and services for our students were being met and that we were really utilizing our paraprofessionals to the best of how we should be with free teaching and working with the kiddos that way. So we spent some time reading that. The SPED department has been rock stars at the changes I've kind of thrown at them and said, okay, let's look at it this way, let's take a look at this. So I really appreciate what we're doing for those kids. Also, another Act 20 piece, they have put out early literacy coach that are going to be available in our CISA 11 region. There's going to be 3 full-time early literacy coaches available. So through that, there's an application process, a grant process. So given where we are at the elementary school with some of our academic needs, I'll take all the help that I can get. So myself and who we have contracted, Melissa Herrick, our reading specialist, we have her contracted for a few days this year. Her and I have been working on that application, and that grant's due on Friday. It's, even though there's 3 in the CISA 11 region, it's gonna go on highest level of need and everything with that, and your application. So we'll see, I'm hopeful that we at least may get a part-time part out of it. And then you can kind of see the different things of what that grant would allow us to do. It does not allow any instruction of students. I did look at that because I was like, oh, I would always love somebody else to teach the kids, but it's more of that coaching with teachers, making sure all my programs and structures in the building are set up like they could to leverage the most for our kids. So it's only going to be an extra set of hands if we were to get that granted, but I will keep you guys posted on that. And then parent involvement in open library nights is something that has been started by Angela Williams, Shana Hoffman, Laura Draxler, and Morgan Shelton to try to get parents in here and excited. And the first night they were troopers. We were kind of last minute with getting the word out and that kind of stuff. So there was only a few kids, but each time that they have it, more and more kids are showing up, which is awesome. Kids are hearing about it and wanting to come. So the next one is February 2nd, and then they have one planned for March 2nd. And they have activities that go along with it to kind of entice families to come in. So, do you have anything else or any questions? Chuck, same.
Well, I was just thinking, I remember hearing somewhere, it's like you can give books to kids, and that's great, but you have to get their parents involved and somehow.
Yeah.
And I think we do a really good job of giving things away and getting kids interested in reading, excited about reading, but we need exactly this type of thing to get
Absolutely.
whole families excited about reading.
Yep.
And passionate about reading, or to see the importance of it.
Absolutely.
So is, with anything like this that is new, to get that going is, I don't want anybody to be discouraged.
Oh, gosh, no,
Okay.
no, and it was funny, like the first night, there was a lot of kids here for like, I don't know if it was basketball or wrestling, some of my elementary kids. And they'd be walking by like, oh, what's going on? And then pretty soon they were into the library with their families, you know, so, and then again, by the second one, I wasn't able to make either one of them. Hopefully the ones in February I will, but, they said the amount of people that came even from the first to the second one had already increased. And again, that's something I'm trying to put, like I put it in my in the know communication, trying to get it out, trying to get the word out. We put flyers home in backpacks. So again, once they get that establishment already, it's starting to kind of grow with that. So, yeah.
Super.
For the early literacy coach, do you know
Yeah.
when you'll find out if we, they don't tell you?
They haven't told us that yet, not that I can see, and it's funny, it's just like with the Act 20 stuff, it changes constantly. So there isn't a notification date yet or anything like that, like I said, it's due this Friday. Some of the early stuff that I see with the Act 20 stuff that I read, it says that these could go into effect in early spring.
Okay.
But
So
I was like,
worried then.
yeah, but I'm like, oh, they have to do a lot. And then the other thing that we've talked about administratively is even though CISA 11 is getting awarded 3 full-time people, they have to find them. And they have to be certified with a 317 licensure, which is the reading specialty license,
Yeah.
not even the 316 that our staff has. So again, it's finding those people. So that's, I'm scared of, okay, how are you gonna get these people? Because then with CISA, it's only a 2-year contract. So to pull some other people from districts would be hard for them, because then what do they do after year 2? So, but again, I said to Patrick, I said, absolutely, it's something that it's only gonna benefit if we can get it, so let's put our hat in and see what happens. There are some targeted schools across the state of Wisconsin that are the highest level of need. I did ask around, and I'm like, hey, is Glenwood City on that list? Just because they're gonna get awarded priority first. And they said that we weren't on that list, but they still said, just still apply, still take the time and put in the application for it. So I'm crossing my fingers. Yeah.
Any other things for me? All right, Richie, you're next.
All right, let's start out with Summit 58 update. Erin can talk a little bit about the grant. I got Casey here, but she showed up. She's just waiting for her child to be done with basketball, so thanks for being here. So the school store started out and originated in the year 2000 with Transitional Skills Center. It was called Odds and Ends. Was not here back in the 90s when I was here. I'm gonna let Casey, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about it, because you're knee deep in it right now.
Yeah.
A lot of things, a lot of great things going on.
The history of the store was that it started off at our Transitional Skills Center, mental health there, I believe. I was in a little at the time. They did all sorts of cool things like make spirit wear and shirts like we do now, but they also made wedding invitations, menus, flyers, etc. Then I believe when Miss Carrie Hentz was here in my position, when the school got shifted around a little bit and the office moved and the business classroom moved, that's when business and marketing education took over the school store. And that's when it got its name, Summit 58, for the 58th Glenwood City Hill. We, with the help of the grant, have also added the cafe, which Erin can speak a little bit more about the financial side of that, but basically, we have expanded Summit 58 store to include a coffee shop. The cafe is open before school and during homeroom for our high schoolers. Middle schoolers and elementary are not coming up to the high school during that period of time, but staff and students are welcome to come in and get an iced coffee, a hot coffee, muffins, cookies. And then we have all of the regular school store items, such as our shirts, sweatshirts, logo apparel, our Wisconsin Smart Snacks, like our trail mix, and our smart drinks and our coolers. The Summit 58 Cafe will be used as a fundraiser opportunity. We are going to be rotating the clubs and student organizations in Glenwood City that it will benefit. So as you know, I'm a little biased with DECA, so we said we'll go first, while we're working out the kinks, but
Plus, they're helping a lot, so,
Yeah.
a lot.
So every 2 weeks, we will give another group the opportunity to rotate in, or those students in that club to come in and help sell, along with our special education students who are doing a lot of the prep work and also getting in some hours, getting some work experience. I believe FCCLA will be up after DECA, so in 2 weeks it will rotate to FCCLA, and I'm hoping the next group after that would be our club. So that's just a couple of groups coming on to give you an idea. But we'll open it up to any student organizations within the school that could use some help fundraising.
Fundraising competition.
Yeah. It'll likely happen regardless.
Do you find a lot of, that you're getting a lot of use out of the money, free copies and?
Yeah, so we did our soft opening just on Thursday, and for it being a soft opening and not having a ton of marketing out there, I thought it was pretty successful. We allow staff to order online the morning of, and our students will actually deliver whatever the staff member orders to their room. As long as they order by 7:45, we'll have it delivered by 8 o'clock. Yeah, so that's a little bit of an incentive, but it also gives students a good opportunity to use their communication skills. They have to make change for that staff member, all that, so far so good.
Do you have anything on the grant?
So with the grant, we were able to buy, like Jody stated, with the transition skills, curriculum for Kim Unser and Julie White, which is very nice. And then Indicator 14 actually buying all of our general supplies, so that's the post outcome for the high school students from the special ed students from the year before. And then Kim is actually the one that volunteers to do the Indicator 14 each year. She does enjoy it because she contacts her old students, so her former students, and does that, and that's what gets us back those funds each year. So this goes back into that transition. So it's feeding through. So each year we'll get that fund that will help fund that supplies for those transition skills, which will be very nice. But also that's kind of helping do that. The rest of the funds are going through for technology on that piece for the transition skills. We started out our special education students in this at the student rate for pay, and also teaching them how to do the timesheets. Deb and I work together to kind of do an altered timesheet so that they are not putting it in some of our typical ones. They're actually going to be figuring out by hand, which is kind of developing a little bit more skills. And then doing serve safe online for food handling skills and all sorts of fun things for them. And serve safe is also paid through that grant process, and also a little bump for Casey and Kim to be taking us on.
Really cool program. Very impressed. Thank you, Casey, for working with that. You got fundraising, you got work experience for some of our kids, and you got a product if you want coffee, something to eat in the morning. So there's so many things, so many pluses about it. So that'll continue to grow. Curriculum update. This is from Dr. Curtis here. She does a lot of professional learning, PLCs, things like that. Curriculum. So as part of our continued work to strengthen literacy outcomes at the middle school, we're implementing new intervention and instructional supports aligned to our developing multi-level system of supports. This winter, teachers will utilize results from the FastBridge winter assessment to guide targeted instruction and intervention. During our WIN, example, what I need, intervention period, students will participate in the Read 180 Flex, working with their individual instructional levels to strengthen foundational reading skills, comprehension, and fluency. In addition, sixth grade classrooms will integrate WAGLE, an online ELA program that provides adaptive, standards-aligned practices and real-time feedback to support core instruction. and reinforced skills addressed during intervention. Together, these skills, these tools will allow students to engage in personalized learning while teachers monitor progress and adjust instruction accordingly. To further support this work, we're also developing a formal student success team problem-solving process that will provide a structured approach for reviewing data, identifying student needs, and coordinating timely intervention. So that has been going, I mean, Dr. Curtis has done a great job with that, getting teachers, working with them. She has so much knowledge and experience with that, so we're blessed to have her use her strengths there, because that's not where mine are. High school, we got a couple new courses. We're going to talk about some of the ag classes later, but there's a new one that you'll probably see down the road here. It's an opportunity. It's called CASE. It's Rose Gillis, our ag teacher, has an opportunity to receive free training to teach a new course called CASE. As a participant, she is expected to pilot a class in the 2026-2027 school year. She'll need to apply and have administrator approval. We'll bring that to you. CASE is a curriculum for agriculture and science education. It's offering an investigating agricultural biotechnology curriculum and professional development to provide teachers with the technical content and skills to prepare secondary students for plant biotechnology careers. The curricular resource will have two modules. The first one will focus on technical skills, and the second will focus on plant applications. The technical skill module will be field tested during the 25-26 year and the 26-27 school year. In addition to the curriculum revisions, CASE will revise the program's professional development component, so teachers will receive training on new and innovative lab procedures and applications as they pass them on to their students. This is going to be a really neat thing, because there's so many positive things with this curriculum that Rose is really excited about this. So you'll hear more about this as it's brought to you, and we'll share that information with you. And then tonight here, we got college equivalency credit. We're asking for approval for 3 equivalency credit courses in the ag department: large animal science, small animal science, and vet science. Large and small animal science were combined into one class previously, and now will be split into 2 courses. Equivalency credit has been approved for the previous class, and now will need additional approval by the board. Vet science is a new course, and then if you want to get on the DPI website, you can see how the equivalency requirements are for Wisconsin school districts, so that information's out there. Jacob Mays has been working real hard, working on the course offerings. We're already looking at next year's school or course offerings and schedule. Planning and developing is we're working on it right now. So Jacob Mays will always work on this and trying to get ahead of the game here as we look into next year. Honors Band and Choir, Wednesday coming up. There's going to be another 200 kids in our school here, and we're going to try to keep them confined to the lobby and gym. So it'll all work out. Mr. Lamb, this isn't his first rodeo, so him and Ms. Williams will take care of that and have everything organized. So they'll be in the gym, lobby, and band room. The students will be back again on Saturday, January 31st, for a short rehearsal, and then present the concert at 1 p.m. Concert's free, open to the public, so you're welcome to attend. And then we had some really cool things happen over the last week or so here. Middle school students that represent Glenwood City in the all-state choirs. On the 17th, 4 students from Glenwood City Middle School had the opportunity to participate in the Wisconsin Choral Directors Association All-State Choirs in Eau Claire. Over the weekend, there was about 600 choir students from across the entire state of Wisconsin that made up 7 ensembles that performed. Students were selected based on nominations from music educators back in October. Between October and January, students were expected to learn their music ahead of time with some help from their teachers. We have Avery Holden, Autumn Larson, Annabelle Pointer, and they were part of the middle level choir. And then Kennedy Posing, is that how you pronounce it? She, 6th grade, was part of the children's choir. So congratulations to those students for representing our school and community with pride in such a large stage. So Andy did a great job getting those kids prepared and working with them. One thing I wanted to share, and you'll see it in my newsletter here, why this place is kind of special, very special. Every morning, if you look out, if your parents dropping kids off, there's a teacher standing up by the door, opening the door for the kids, greeting them as they walk through the door. And then they get through the doors, and then there's other teachers standing there, drinking their coffee and saying good morning and welcoming them. That doesn't happen in every district, trust me.
It's not required supervision or.
No, they don't have to
They're
be
just
there.
doing
They're
it,
just
yeah.
doing it out of goodness. They understand the importance of greeting kids in the morning. Every day, teachers stand outside their classrooms welcoming students into their classroom. The way we greet students, it does matter. The high fives, fist bumps, that's my favorite. Hugs, smiles, that sets the tone for a lot of these kids. We work very hard to make school a place where kids want to be because they know it's an opportunity for them to belong, and that is special. Small gestures like this, like greeting kids as they enter a school or classroom, can go a long way. Research published in 2018 found that when teachers welcome students at the door, academic engagement increases by 20%, and disruptive behavior drops by 9%. So it does matter, and I thank my staff here, our staff, for doing that, because they don't have to do it, but it makes a huge difference. And developing those relationships and kids to know that, these people care about me, that's you get a good start, you got a chance. So I'm gonna turn it back to Ms. Nolte. We're gonna talk about DECA. Got some good things going on.
Yeah, so, this year, I gotta pull up my numbers. This year we have 23 registered chapter members for DECA. This is an increase from last year. Don't ask me the specific number for last year because I'm not sure, but I know it went up. We were also able to take 19 of those to the Emerging Leaders Conference in Wisconsin Dells and Kalahari, which was a huge number for us. We actually needed a bus this year. We've never needed a bus before. So thank you to Jake Spore for not only chaperoning, but driving our bus. And then we had 13 DECA members actually compete this year at the University of Wisconsin Stout. Competition is not required of my DECA members because some are in it for the social and community activities that we do. But I was very happy with all 13 students. They all participated extremely well. I was very impressed with all of their scores, and we actually have 5 individuals moving on to state competition for how well they did. Am I allowed to say their names? Okay, so those 5 moving on, well, they'll be in the paper too. I submitted a photo for the paper. Those 5 individuals moving on were, I learned them in order. Brody Reba, Clayton Hoffman, Tessa Wagner, Olivia Heath, and Jacob Hager. So those are the 5 students moving on. They are all competing in different events. Some of them are doing written projects. They are all doing role plays that have to do with the category that they competed at districts. So we did extremely well. I'm very proud of them. And I also want to say thank you to volunteers from our community who actually showed up at Stout on January 10th to help judge and volunteer for the day. Because it's a very special day and we couldn't do it without them. So thank you.
When is the?
State will be in Lake Geneva on February 23rd. So if anybody wants to drive all the way to Lake Geneva, I'm looking for volunteers for that as well. I'm very proud.
Student behavior report, one thing I was asked to kind of help out here this year was, student behavior was a concern. It brought to my attention and stuff, but overall, from the beginning of the school year until now, I think student behavior has really improved a lot. I think the changes we made in the student handbook, holding students accountable has been probably the major reason for that. Teachers have appreciated the support, communication, and follow through. We will always have some behavior issues regardless, we know that. But for young adults with developing brains, that they make mistakes. But I think consistency has been the key to all this by minimizing the disruptions in the classroom is going to obviously improve the learning environment. So that's been good. The kids have been awesome. The teachers have been very supportive. There's follow through in the classroom. So I could be more proud of how the kids have handled themselves and how they responded, and it's been great, so just, I don't have data for you to show you that, but I hope you trust
Just
us
believe
that- So, we haven't been at any, expulsion proceedings here, so that's positive.
To give them data, give them access though, because I didn't give them access.
Okay, we can do that. Credit deficient students, you probably don't hear a lot of kind of, the things that kind of go behind the scenes of trying to get kids, some of these kids to graduate. I've been doing this for 20 years and, some of the creative things that we've been able to come up with kids just to get them an alternative, a diploma, GED, or a path to a GED. It's encouraging, it's exciting to see kids finally get it at the end when they may be credit deficient, but, a lot of times they're in circumstances that they put themselves in, and the choices they made, and sadly, sometimes it's circumstances out of their control. With the first semester just finishing up, we've had some students in that situation, may not earn the credits they need to graduate, but, why? Attendance, disengagement, mental health, family issues, there's a plethora of reasons, but I want you to know that the teachers, the counselors, the aides, the administrators are working with these students and the families. We set up meetings with them, we communicate with them, sometimes we don't get that communication back, but we work at it to try to get them in position, to earn something, to earn an alternative diploma, put together alternative schedules, things like that, for them to have a chance to graduate. Some of the options that we've used, or I've used over the years, and we're using here, the e-campus has helped, because there's only so many hours in the day to take classes, so they may have to take them outside of the school day. We've had hybrid schedules set up where we have kids in here part-time, taking classes, and then part-time home online. GED prep online, this may be their only option if they don't have enough credits, they may have to be here for 5 years to finish. So GED prep to try to help them get their GED. Of course, we have the alternative diploma program where you have the state minimum number of credits, 21. So we work with students on getting their core credits, and then we can get flexible with work credit for some of the other credits that they need. Old school paper pencil packet, sometimes that works a lot better than giving them a computer, because sometimes they wander. And then, of course, the work-based learning, and that's a good place for a lot of these kids learning on the job and getting credit for that as well. So it then falls back on the student and the parent for follow through. We do offer support for all of these students here at school if they need the help. We encourage that. And again, in my 20 years, I've seen some amazing turnarounds at the end, and students do really productive things. And then unfortunately, seen some kids that aren't able to get that diploma. But we don't have a lot, but we have some students that put themselves in that position, and that's some of the things that we end up doing to try to get them to the end. eCampus update, quick summary. We use the Admenum. There's 45 students that took 86 courses per semester. Overall, including other platforms like Wisconsin Virtual, ECCP, 61 students were served in over 102 classes. There were 6 courses not completed, so families had to pay for those because they didn't complete them. 13 students took Spanish. Majority of the students were traditional, but 13 were hybrid or virtual. And 1 student did graduate by having this program, so that was nice. And then finally, I asked Jake Score to give me some information on our athletic update here. We're in the last month of the winter season. Give you an update here, high school wrestling, they had 29 total athletes. There were 2 female, 27 male, so good numbers. 4 events left, including the Dunsink Bright Conference Tournament. Sectionals will be in February 14th in Ladysmith, and then we did have a JV state champion this last weekend, Kale Livingston. So that was quite an honor. Girls basketball, we have 17 student athletes, 11 games left. The regionals start February 24th. Boys, we have 20 boys out, 12 games left. Their regional start on March 3rd. Middle school wrestling, 12 athletes, 1 female, 5 events left, and they're done February 17th. Middle school wrestling, what do we got here? Oh, middle school wrestling, 15 athletes. There's 4 in 8th grade, 7 in 7th grade, and 4 in 6th grade. So the numbers are a little lower there. Last event is the 12th. I think this was supposed to be girls basketball, my bad, you put wrestling up here. There is a concern, and I don't know if you've seen the letter, but Jake is concerned with some of these lopsided scores in the middle school with the basketball, 77-1. There's been some really unfortunate, the way they handle the game is managed by some of the coaches and some of these other schools. So that's being addressed at the conference level. So, you may hear some more about that. And then plans to bolster the youth group basketball activities are being created with Brian Keyberg and Jake taking the lead on that, so we're trying to get the numbers up there. But, it's good to have kids involved in these extracurricular. Sometimes that gives them purpose to be here, you know. And, but no, it's been going really good. Dr. Curtis and myself, we work well together, and fortunate to have her involved. Any questions?
Thanks, guys. Okay, so some action items. Here's a big one. We got our Tank Toppers relocation presentation by Mrs. Davis.
Well, thank you for listening, first of all. So I've been the coordinator of the program since the program started. Currently, Tiny Tots, if you're not aware, that's our 6-week to 3-year-old program, is at Glen Haven. There's nothing, this presentation has nothing to do with anything that's happened at Glen Haven. This is strictly, we feel, the staff that have helped me. I have to give props to Leah Martz and Aaron Davis, because I could not have done this by myself. Bringing everyone here under one roof, together, one program, not feeling like we're two separate programs. So that's kind of what brought this about. Leah and Aaron and I met about this almost a year ago. We've had conversations with Aaron, with Jamie, lots of support we've had at the school. So the presentation that we're gonna look at is just gonna kind of go through, for those of you that aren't familiar with the space, how we're currently using the space, how we look at how we could potentially use the space if Tiny Tots would move here. Again, nothing against Glen Haven at all. Mr. Larson, the director there, has been nothing but wonderful to us. So this is not anything to do with anything. It's just, it would be wonderful to all be here. So this is the biggest, how we started is the why. The students having us all here. Supervision is more consistent, provides stronger peer interaction and social development. It's just, again, having us all together. You know, the littles with the bigs, you know, and reaching out with Jamie, Richie. I mean, there's just so many opportunities that we can bring in. You know, we have our student workers. The kids just love them, you know. The staff would 100% help with staff to staff ratios. We are doing great. We have wonderful staff. We are fully staffed right now. But again, when two people call in sick, or and then you're scrambling to know how are we gonna cover it, and we can just kind of rotate ourselves around. The support of the school and the resources would be fantastic. I mean, we have all the admin here. We have custodial help here, we have maintenance help here, we have a nurse on staff here. We don't have any of that there. We're getting by, it's not that, but that would be such a huge thing for us here. And then, of course, the budget. And we'll look at the budget a little bit in more detail on the next page, but we will be saving some costs where, again, just all the programs under one roof would be fantastic. So this is just when we sat down very originally and met with Mr. Olson, here's what we looked at. We looked at our pros and our cons, which we kind of adjusted our cons to its more challenges and how could we fix them. So obviously, all the students and staff in one location, we would, currently we pay $2,000 a month at Glen Haven for the Tiny Tots program. We pay approximately $97 a month for our rug rental. And then we're looking at about $120 a month for our phone and internet. So that would all obviously dissolve if the program moved here under this building. That we're not really losing any space because the spaces here are equivalent to the spaces there. It's just how we relocate our program and how we move kids around. You know, we're trying to get the kids to not be afraid of school. So to move into the, you know, age appropriate, get ready for school, Huge staff incentive. We do have a lot of staff that have kids in their program. And of course, this isn't a secret. Lots of staff have heard about that. I was gonna be at the board meeting tonight. And I've been approached by 3 staff that currently do not have their children in our program that would move their children here potentially in the fall if this goes through. A few of our challenges to be addressed, the meal preparation. We have luckily, Alyssa happened to be walking by and we dragged her in. She is very confident that there's probably a program that we can use that she can provide our nutrition, just like she does for our Tiny Tupper program now. If not, we can use the Commons Kitchen, and we do have room in our rooms now downstairs that we could prepare, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And, we're not gonna be cooking, we don't have a stove, but we have a pizza oven, we have an air fryer. We do have appliances that we can use in our current space here. Summer hang time was probably my biggest concern because that brings in more kids, but talking with Jamie, and with Mr. Olson, there's spaces that we can use. And Jamie was more than willing to open up a couple extra classrooms if we just needed to break up the groups. We're looking at, could we potentially, I know we would always be last on the list if something else had to get in, but could we set like some gym time up? Like we always knew we could be in the gym on Mondays from noon to 2. And so looking at other rooms we can use, we've always used the Commons in the past, and from discussions, it sounds like that won't be a problem again. Swapping out some doors, some soundproofing, again, this doesn't have to be done for the relocation to happen, but this is an advantage we think would help. Our outdoor play equipment, the equipment currently at Tiny Tots could come here. Our drop-off and pickup location, this would probably be this is our biggest wish list item that we could potentially get our own entrance. Mr. Olson is gonna look into that, and we're gonna get some quotes and see if that's feasible. And Jamie and I have discussed, maybe we designate some parking spots for our littles, so that they know this is where they're gonna pull up, it's a safe spot for them to get into the building.
Beth, I'm sorry, but can you just elaborate on that? So like the drop off and pick up for like a separate entrance? Yeah, total wish thing. What we currently
Right.
have is just fine.
Right,
They would still be able to enter through the main doors there in the elementary and go right down the 2nd grade hall, just like they're doing. So it wouldn't be any
Right.
different than what we're
Right.
doing, and it wouldn't affect my elementary kiddos in any way, so.
and as we looked through this, is none of these challenges would prevent the move. But if we could use some of our solutions,
Yeah.
it would help. Changing tables, we can relocate them from Tiny Tots. It's a very minor expense. We still have grant money coming in. So like Jody, you mentioned the hang time purchase from Amazon, that's all still with our grant funds. So that would be easy. And then we would have to create a policy for staff. I mean, it's a perk to be in the same building with your staff, with your kids. But we also just can't have staff running in and out and kind of disrupting our whole day either. So this is our current layout right now. And so this is the 2nd grade hallway, we're coming in, Tiny Toppers are here. So morning and afternoon hang time meet in these rooms, as well as Tiny Toppers, and then Tiny Topper shoots across the hall, and the majority of our day is in that room. So this is what our current, right now we have hooks in this hallway for Hilltopper hang time, we have cubbies in this hallway that our Tiny Toppers use. They can go to the next slide. So this is these are the things that we would look to change, is to take these hooks and move them to this hallway with potentially getting our new entrance. The cubbies would stay. The morning hang time would just move to this room. And that works because, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, so I apologize, but it works because Tiny Toppers isn't in there until the school day starts. So morning hang time can be in there, they go to school, Tiny Toppers comes in there, Tiny Toppers goes home, afternoon hang time comes in. So this room can be very multifunctional. But that, I'm sorry, Erin, can you just go back for 1 second? So this already exists, so all we're doing is relocating. So the cost on this stream is truly if we would get a separate entrance. So this is what our current hang time room looks like. So if you, I know Chuck, you were down there the other day, it's a little bit easier to explain it if you're down in the room, but it's the smallest of the 3 rooms that we have. But it would become our new infant room. So currently we are licensed to have 8 infants. That's all we would ever want to have at max. So this room is licensed for 13.2, I think it is, but it's big enough.
I know, I was like, that's hard to find in the voice room.
So it's so weird, yeah, so. It is, yeah. I'm sorry, I don't have that right in front of me, but it is big enough, so our infant room at the school is licensed for the 8. This room would be big enough for that. So in this room, what we'd be looking at is we need to install a changing table, a magnetic whiteboard, which we just installed both of these at Glen Haven, so we could take them off the wall and bring them over. We would like to eventually do something with the lighting. We can start with a lamp, throw in a dimmer switch, and then if we could get the slotted panel out of our door, that would be fantastic. Like, none of this affects the move. It's just things we would love to have happen. I take that back, the changing table we do have to have. So that room would just empty in itself, and then the room that connects, our two hang time rooms connect by a door. This would become our new toddler, which is, we did this so many times and I don't have my numbers on it but it is licensed for, I believe, 29.36 kids. So again, equal to what we can have over there. We're not losing any space. That's licensed for 36. We're coming over here, we can actually have a few extra. So this in yellow again, so this fridge and freezer, we currently have a fridge and freezer because we own everything in its entirety at Glen Haven. We can just transport it here. We would like to install a changing table in this bathroom as well. When we bought them last, they were $97. So we're not looking at breaking the bank to buy a new changing table. And then a big wish list item would be a dishwasher. Tim and I kind of walked the space and he's like, maybe we could sneak one in there. When I priced it, $500 approximately. Again, you don't have to have it. It's just a wish list item.
But the thing is if it makes the efficiency of
Right.
running in the cleanup and stuff.
And it would, yeah, versus having, 3 pans sitting out and. So then this is just our tiny tupper room, which sits exactly how it is. Nothing changes in there. What changes is in there is the kids that go in and out of there. Right now, hang time does use this room, but it's not our primary space. Like when we can't go outside, then they're in here all the time. They're running between both rooms. The thing we need to add here is we don't have a room number. So there's really no changes to this room at all. This is something that Erin and Jamie and I and Tim have really, it's kind of happening irregardless because it's not costing anything. We're gonna flip-flop our current office and our current storage room because the current storage room is right in the hub of the rooms. It just makes sense. So it's not costing anything because our current office space, we're taking the storage shelves out of the storage room and just putting them in here. So it's not costing anything to do this. And then flip-flopping, so that our current office furniture would move into what will be our new office. So it would be nice if we could have a whiteboard in there and maybe some coat hooks. So Tim has been working with Frank and myself. We're just looking at, there is some power outlets in there. We don't have the whole room empty yet, so we haven't been able to see how many outlets are in there. But to get Frank to run our internet and phone, and again, it shouldn't be like we have a printer at Glen Haven that would just come here. So we're not buying a lot of new things to make this transition. And then this is just quick. I won't read all of this to you, but if you look at this piece of it, this is what we currently have there, and it's all gonna come here. So the room is going to be furnished when it comes. With our grant funds, we'd like to do some updating, but we're gonna bring everything over. So that's what all of these slides are, what's in the room and everything that we're bringing. The only items that we talked about leaving there is the dishwasher. Like their dishwasher is actually fitted into their kitchen, under their countertop. and it's been there a while. You know, so I just don't know that we wanna even mess with it.
Sounds sweet, sounds like that.
Yeah, you know, and the only other item that we talked about is the stove. Like, if we don't have a use for the stove anywhere here at the school, it fits in their spot. But we did buy it from them, so I think it's worth a conversation of, you know, do they buy it back? Do we make a deal? I mean, those are some small things that are up for negotiation, I guess. So that's the end of my presentation. Fire at me. Steve and Jordan are really sick of hearing about this.
Well, you answered the question for me, because I was like, how do we deal with those morning and afternoon kids, and but when you stated that, now I get it, so.
Yeah, and ideally, I mean, the separate entrance would be, and if you have time to walk down there and see the space, it really does make sense. If the amount is not too astronomical, I mean, I understand the funding has to.
Would be nice for the little, so I dropped Gus off before, we're like, he's having a bad day, and he's crying, and I just like ditch him at the door.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, bud.
Yeah.
Having it a little bit closer, or the handoffs a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Would help, for sure.
And not the kids in between, you know, that they're like, they're staring at him, they're like, well, what's wrong with Gus? Yeah, you know, but, and the kids are good about it, like, our kids are really good about it in the building, so, I don't think that entrance sways the decision, in my opinion, but I would really like to keep this up for discussion about getting some bids and looking at where a new entrance would be very beneficial.
Oh, I agree with that, I absolutely agree with that.
I'm trying to picture in my mind where that would be. Is it?
So if you, you gotta go back,
Yeah.
almost to the beginning, so Chuck, when you were down there, if you would have had your back against the milk cooler and you were looking down the hallway that has the big
This one right
Hilltop
here.
or Hang Time.
Yeah.
This is like where our big letters are on the wall right here. So it would go out this door, and if you come out this door, this is where our sidewalk starts from the side of the building,
Okay,
and then this
so-
is the parking spot.
Yes. The classrooms, the room 126?
Yep,
Is that the old light colored brick? And where the door would go,
Yes.
the
yes,
dark
yeah,
colored brick?
yeah,
Yes.
yep,
That's at the transition?
yes, yep, yes.
And I remember talking about that before.
We did talk about it one other time, but originally the conversation started, Chuck, that we would put the door right here where this window is.
Oh, okay. Okay,
And now,
Krista?
I would say, no, we would not want to do that because this would be the new infant room.
yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So,
And this goes right out on the sidewalk.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I didn't see that here.
yeah, well, I think that's definitely a worthwhile thing to investigate 100%.
And I agree with, you know, drop-offs and pickups and.
Well, I'm also thinking of when it's 20 below or,
Exactly,
and cracking up with a baby
Yeah.
carrier.
right,
Yeah,
right.
we're gonna have to at least, you know, we talked about designating all of those spots right in
The
the front,
parking spots.
where it's just reserved for that's it.
Yeah.
And, you know, potentially even some other ones on the other side, so they can.
Yeah.
And again, with the infants, we would have to think a little bit differently, you know, coming through that front door if we don't have the alternative exit.
Yeah.
But again, that would be a little bit easier than some
Right.
of our 3 or 4-year-old parents.
And that
trying to
too
decipher.
is a huge benefit because right now, we don't have a student worker in the morning at Tiny Tots because of the time that school starts. Where we did in the past, when school started a little bit later. So again, that's another opportunity that we can open up because we do have a morning student worker at Hilltop or Hang Time. So, and she's fantastic, you know, so running down the door and, you know, so to be able to open up another position for a student worker in the morning would be fantastic.
Seems like better utilization of the school and space, and I can't imagine those parents that have one at one facility, one at the other.
Right.
And there are multiple
Mhm.
There are,
that
yeah,
drop, do the
yeah.
2 drop-offs, you know?
In addition to $26,000 a year in savings.
Yeah.
I would think the ROI on
Right.
other infants that we put
Right.
once we get the profit.
Exactly. And it doesn't seem, again, I've timed it. I can get in my car to Glen Haven in the building in 3 minutes approximately. But it is hard if there's a crisis and they're calling and now they're waiting on me, or somebody has to go home because they're sick, or their chicken coop starts on fire, or, you know, so it's
That
just.
sounded awfully specific.
Yeah, but things, you know, and things like that happen, and a lot of our staff have kids in the program. So if 2 staff are out with sick kids, you know, now we're kind of scrambling and then we're shuffling, well, you know, 3 hours here, and we're making it work. It's not that we're not making it work, I just think this would be a better solution.
I can't, I'm trying to think of a negative. I know you
Mhm.
phrase them as challenges, and there are
Right,
some.
right,
I
But
can't-
they're very minuscule of
right.
things,
Yeah.
right? As she went
Yeah.
through this and they looked at all what are the cons?
Right,
And I told her, I said, there's nothing that's a major con that we could think of why doing this would hurt us, right? Or not be
right,
beneficial.
right.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
When this first came up last year, the only reason that there wasn't more conversations is because we were past the time already to look at the contract and let them know.
Right. So we have to let Glen Haven know by March 1st if we won't be redoing for the next school year. So currently, looking at a little bit ahead of the timeline, so our families, Tiny Tots, Tiny Toppers, Hangman, it doesn't matter, they all get the same calendar at the beginning of the school year. So our calendar runs from when school starts and August, beginning of September, to June, when school gets out. Then they get another calendar for June, July, and August. So currently, our last day of school is on a Wednesday. That's a half day. That we are all programs are closed to children in the afternoon. And then Thursday and Friday, our programs are closed. That's usually when we're turning over, we're cleaning, we're getting our summer things out. So they're already aware of those closure dates. Would not be anything new to them. And Ms. Schaefer has to start summer school so quick, so.
Sorry, trying to.
But we were
get those
thinking,
numbers up.
if we can start doing little things now, like getting the office and the storage room flipped, and bring over things that we're not using every day, could we make that move in those 2.5 days? And then summer hang time and Tiny Tots opens in its new location, June 8th, is it June 8th? It's a little bit of a crunch, but the staff that are super excited are really on board, you know, and if we can have some things ready to go, you know, as we get closer to that timeline, I think we could do it.
Anything from a licensing perspective? that's
Well, all we
gonna be a
need is-
concern to-
Yep, her and I have been best friends lately. We do have to fill out that a building inspection has been done in the space, that there's not anything in the rooms that's unsafe for 0 to 3-year-olds. So I don't know when the last building inspection was done here. Mr. Olson was gonna look at that paperwork. It's just an application. That's it. And then if the program moves here, we would all be under one. It won't be,
One site
right, because
license and.
right now, we're listed as 2 sites and we have 2 different facility numbers, 2 different license numbers. Everything will just be under one. And that's just an email to the licensor that I provide her with and what day that'll go into effect. And then she'll come on and visit with me.
Well, you've already had the licensor.
She was just here last week.
I mean, she's already been through your current process,
Correct.
and she's been made aware of.
Right. So we had a phone meeting set up for last week, Thursday, and then we had a surprise visit on Wednesday. So then we just combined the 2 meetings. So she is fully aware of this. And I informed her I was coming to the school board, and I've been in, you know, talks with admin. So she's aware of that this is happening.
I wish I could combine my programs. I
Right?
get it. Being split into 2 locations
It's
sucks so bad.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I,
And it's just the minor things.
it is, yeah, but it
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah.
So I
It
totally agree
does.
with you.
Any other questions?
I know we changed some things inside the school to become more efficient with our space use. What was the original determining factor of why we ended up having these 2 locations? Is that why we was not?
To be brutally honest with you, I think that because Tiny Toppers and Hang Time were in current existence, the programs were running, and the nursing home had a daycare that closed.
Oh, okay.
It was a little papers.
Yeah, and then the director at the time, Sherry, reached out to the school and they were like, would you ever consider doing anything? So then we started our meetings and then we were like, oh, it's all there,
Sure.
you know, and then,
Makes sense.
so as time went on, so Tiny Tots will be open 2 years in March. So,
That's crazy.
yeah,
The-
it doesn't seem, it just seems like we were living there like yesterday.
A lot of your tiny tots now,
Mhm.
when they become 3 or 4, they come to the school anyway.
Right, we just had 3 Tiny Tots move right before winter break, yeah.
It'll make that
And then they
transition
move,
even
and then they
easier.
move into our 4K and 5K program.
Right, correct, yeah, yeah. And we also have kids not in our district that are attending both of our programs. We're putting on Jamie's radar.
Yep, and then we can,
Thank you.
Thank you for the very detailed information.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's very.
A lot of work.
And I had a lot of help, so I do appreciate the people that aren't here with me tonight, but that they did help.
Well, you work really hard at it, and I know it's chaotic sometimes.
It's good though, it's good, it's organized chaos.
Well, you're a victim of your own success.
I know, Chuck, ever since you said that to me, it's like rattling in my brain.
I have it up.
But if you wanna see the space, if it's easier to walk it, I almost live here, so just let me know and I can walk it with anyone or like Derek, I don't know if you've ever been downstairs even.
I had it.
So yeah, if you wanna stop in and,
One of those parts kids are there. It's fun.
Yeah.
and when you stop during the day and there's 30 kids pulling at your pants
Yeah,
like.
that'd be perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So I think everyone else, I don't know if you've been down the space.
I have not.
Okay. Well, you're more than welcome to visit.
From where it was when it was an art room and a storage room, a wrestling room, and to what it is there now, and what, I'm not gonna raise, but she's my wife. But it's a huge turnaround.
Yeah, we come along.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the administration to give formal written notice to Glen Haven in reference to the school district's initiative to terminate their child care rental agreement.
Motion.
Motion made by Derek, I have a second.
Second.
Second by Scott. Any further discussion? Hearing
That's a
none, all
good
those-
question, do we need to abstain?
I don't think, there's no financial aspect, so you do not have to
I
abstain.
missed my opportunity a second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna catch it when I get home.
There's a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried. Thanks again.
Thank you, everyone.
And that motion does carry the request for some of the added things that she might want and need. You know, like the door and.
They got all that.
No, that's like,
I think we're just-
this is just to give the
A
administration.
go ahead that we
To
can,
change the contract,
okay,
to give a notification of the contract.
Yep.
And to get the relocation.
Yeah.
At least quote those activities though.
right.
What was that?
They can quote like the door and the reload, like those things.
That's
those-
stuff
Work on
has to be
pricing,
done,
we
yeah.
can, well, we can work on
Yeah,
that.
this is just the first step, this is where we're going, and then we'll go.
Perfect.
All right, everybody good? All right,
Thank you, everybody.
yeah,
Thanks, Beth.
all right. Approval of spaces available for special education, regular education, open enrolled students for 26-27 school year. Oh, yeah, okay. Aaron, do you want to say a little something on this? Because this is something we
Yeah.
usually end up approving because we really,
Yeah.
really don't have any.
And we get a lot of questions. on it.
You get a lot of questions. So honestly, the numbers have not changed a ton. You'd think they would change somewhat, but they really stay very similar. The one thing that I will say is that with Jamie's process, the PRPs, the tiers, all of that, I have not included the evals that are happening right now. So looking at these numbers, if you look down at the ECSE 4K and the ES 5K to 5 numbers, even the MS 6 to 8, I have in the middle school, I have 2 evaluations that I know will be coming through there. I have 2 in the elementary school, and then I have 1 that was just through the program there. So knowing that, I mean, that's 5 more in this. I'm not saying that they're the other 4 that are going to qualify, but there is an evaluation open on 4 more students. 1 did qualify in the 4K area, just not included in these numbers when we were figuring them out, because it kind of skews things when you're doing the calculations for that. But qualified after the fact. So just knowing that the fluctuation of these numbers and the move-ins and move outs, and that's where that projected future capacity happens. The plus and minus 4 actually stays pretty on target. If you look even at the OT, last year, she had 30 on that and increased by 5. Those needs are usually staying pretty similar, but did jump quite a bit. And the same with speech and language, that, you know, usually we see an increase, just like I mentioned with the Child Development Day. That's an increase there too. And across the board, we are looking at, when I did the calculation, at 20% special education right now. So, and I think that was a similar number though that you said you saw in Cumberland.
We were about 19, 20.
So everyone that I've talked about or talked to recently, they're doing the same thing. Closed special ed, and they're fluctuating, or I shouldn't say fluctuating, but sitting in the range of between 17 and 20. So I think we mentioned this last year at this time too, is the average, when they said the Wisconsin average sits at 13%, that's definitely increased in the last six years. So.
I think so. Some of the changes we've done at the elementary school with the RTI process, as far as the official interventions and tracking students. When she talks about the referrals that are coming from me through my RTI process, I feel really good at making those referrals. I'm like, okay, we have done our due diligence. We have given the student adequate time. We've given them adequate instruction. We can check off all those exclusionary factors of why this student's struggling. Okay, let's go to further evaluation. So, you know, she is gonna start to see, you know, as those kids get through my process, but it's gonna be about 2 to 3, you know, every rotation where it's like, okay, these kids are now up, let's go through the evaluation and see where we're at. More than likely, a lot of times they'll qualify for additional services that way, which again, it just shows we're doing our job and our checks and balances of making sure we're identifying these kids at the right age. So.
But I'm trying to say, I can't count them because
Right,
they're
yes,
not,
yes,
they're
right.
not officially.
But because we,
Mhm.
because we have the system set up the way that we do, she can bank that 3 times a year, I'm gonna come to her and say, okay, now these kids have gone through a year and a half of intense interventions, this is what I've done, now what do we do? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay,
And there's not an average number there, and you can't
Yeah.
think on you just know that 3 times a year you're going to get, hey,
the end of my process that I have set up at the elementary.
which is a wonderful thing to know though, because then you know that they're going through this process, the tiers, and you can say, okay,
That it truly is an evaluation then of a disability and not just that they haven't been instructed properly, just, you know, given the opportunities.
And the ones that I said I have in the middle school are for definitely other things. And there's one that is a returning homeschool student. And that's why it was identified before coming back in for an evaluation, would be on our list as a kind of a, you know, a different, untypical case, atypical case, so.
So you can dismiss kids from SPED, does that happen very often?
Yes, it does. It can happen, and everyone's I actually had 3 speech and language this year.
I'll motion to approve 0 seats available for special education students applying for open enrollment.
All right, motion's made by Derek, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried. Next up is the approval of pupil non-discrimination program annual compliance report.
This one is also me.
Mhm.
So we go through and take a look at.
Can I point of order? Do we need to also approve that there is no limit on regular education seats?
I was wondering that too, Chuck. It doesn't say that in the motion just says for special education, but
Well, the last part of it.
Oh, it
is
does say the
recommended
last
action.
part, yeah.
And to approve no limit on seats, no limit on seats available for regular education.
Right.
right.
So I don't know how to achieve that, but if you're willing to hear it, I'll make a motion to say there's no limit on. Would that cut the mustard down?
Well, you can do,
Or do we wanna modify Derek's motion?
what we can do is, yeah, we can amend Derek, you can amend your motion to include that. And
Yeah,
then Scott can say, I'll second that, and that'll take care of it.
Yeah.
I guess the intent was to cover everything that was there.
Yeah, I think we missed the last bit.
Yeah, and then I'll motion to amend my motion. As stated.
Is presented?
That's, important, and as presented in the recommended action.
Yeah.
Scott, would you second that?
Yeah, I'll say.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Thanks.
Opposed, say nay.
Thanks, I just wanna make sure.
Okay, now you can go, Erin.
All right, the pupil non-discrimination, or the PI 9.07 is the looking at all the protected classes. So what I do is I go on to all of our discipline referrals and look for the bullying and harassment referrals pieces and look for any that have to do with the protected classes. And we've started a better process this year after I did this, and looking at anything that has to do with sex, race, disability, religion, sexual orientation, national origin, ancestry, creed, and pregnancy, marital status, or parental status, and just look to see where that falls into those categories. So if it has discrimination or harassment, and kind of put it in those categories. So as you can imagine, sometimes it takes a little bit of weeding out and figuring out, even reading into the actual referral, the discipline referral. But it's broken down and you can see the number that we had in there for each one. And it applies to if it was teacher against student or student against student, looking at that piece. So the discrimination against any policies or anything like that, the actual school against students, and then student discipline referrals. And very similar number to last year's number also.
Can you explain what the difference is between formal and informal?
Yes, if we had to bring in, have a board meeting about it, like a expulsionary, anything like that, or a sit-down meeting with even law enforcement coming in about something, and that's the outside agency type thing. If I had, say, a formal agency come in and maybe mediate something for it.
So it looks like everything was informal.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a high scale for formality, though. I guess is the severity of informal, I mean,
Informal's usually
Measurable?
with one of the principals, myself, even Patrick, something like that. So they kind of go through different layers. So if they would have, Chief Platt come in, if they would have, if it was something like that, or even you come in for a meeting and it's more so along the lines of going above and beyond, and you have to do a recommendation for an outside therapist to come in and have mediate something.
All right, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the pupil non-discrimination program annual compliance report?
No.
Motion's made by Chuck, do I have a second?
1 second.
Second by Jody. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried. Next up is the information reference to Mr. Jim Johnson. I just hit off my last thing. We have there's information there to state when
wanna look at mine?
yeah, I lost my thing, I was clicking too many things.
That's why you like the mouse, right?
Go to the one that talks about the state coordinated things.
Now you did it to me.
Is this what you're looking for? I have it up on the screen, Doc.
Yes,
That,
there we go. So there's our update, so there'll be a hearing at 10 as well, and then a sentencing at the same day at 1:30. We got a lot of the impact statement stuff, and Mr. Olson gave us a bunch of those to kind of go over and read some of the things that are going to be put to Pam, who's the advocacy person, victim coordinator type of a thing. So that's where everything stands with that. Anything additional?
Patrick made a reference into, if I read it correctly, the school board making a statement? Did anybody else see that? I know it was in his email.
so he was wondering if the board would like to make an official statement. I have attached the responses from staff to date in the email and also put on board docs under the administrative content. So he's just looking to see if the board would like to make an official statement.
Should that be a closed session?
I think,
I don't think you have
in
to,
my mind, I'm thinking is we decide yes or no, we want to do that, and then, again, that's something, then at a later date, that is crafted or
Yeah.
brought together in whatever way we want to do it.
Yeah, I think we should.
I think, is there a combination of a public statement as well as a statement that goes into this proceedings of the trial? I mean, from a sentencing standpoint, does the board have a perspective that we'd like the judge to hear from a restitution standpoint versus what we would say to the public, maybe post-outcome?
I believe those would be two separate
Yeah.
type of things, yeah.
So,
I don't know if we need to have an action on crafting a statement.
no, I
Or
don't
if we
think we should
just-
have an action. I
if we
think
just
we
It's just
should come
discussion.
to a
Yeah.
consensus, and if that's something that we want to do, then we need to,
Well, I think an impact statement on behalf of the board is appropriate.
yes, I agree.
Okay.
Anything else about in reference to that item? So next up is the approval of GCSD and CLA audits.
I forgot the big thing.
That's the packet, and you had gone through everything as the treasurer, that's Dan's name?
Yeah, Dan Carlson was the lead auditor of Carlson.
Do you have any insights you want to share to the group as a whole, or?
Probably the most important thing is if you go to the very back, it has the actual findings. So page 53 talks about management bank statements. So findings 10.5001, limited segregation of duties. This is one that you'll find in any institution that has a very limited staff because you only have so many people to delegate responsibilities to. So you can also see that it was a finding the year prior. All you can do is try to put as many administrative controls as you can in place for those approvals. And then the other finding was the material audit adjustments, which we worked with Deb to get those instituted. That was related to a change, and I can't remember what the state statute change was, but it sounds like several schools were affected by it. It wasn't material in value, it was about 117,000. Materiality for government last year was defined as 400 and some odd thousand, so that corrected everything and put it in good form.
All right, any questions in reference to that? Here now, I'll entertain a motion to approve the GCSD and CLA audits, 24-25.
Motion.
Motion's made by Derek, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jordan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried. Next up is the approval of the second Friday in January student gift count, I believe. I did it again. Is there any concerns in reference to what that is with anybody? It's kind of a standard thing.
Can you click on it, Kristen, and show us what we should be looking at exactly?
Kind of just taking our forecast and making it the actual calendar year.
Is it the next one?
Well, I thought it said something about amended.
We had to amend because Friday when Deb and I submitted the count, I got back to my desk and had an email from Syncro Central that, oh, whoops, a kid moved in November and we told you after the count dates. Then today we had to go in and amend by one open enrolled out kid. Because everybody has to have it finalized the same day. So you always end up with a few that they catch. So this is what we submitted to the state for our numbers. And that's what Doc and Jody have to sign off on. No, that's our FTE though. Keep that in mind.
So is there a delta from like what was in the budget or what was initially planned for? Because that's right, kind of how it works is you have an estimate until you get to the second week of January. That our estimate was accurate.
Yeah, it was one.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just we have to correct that on our pupil count. And so this is just an amendment to that initial one. Okay,
If I remember right, these actuals will be used for funding for, as part of the state equation for next year.
Oh, that's all.
Yep.
Okay.
all right. So can I get a motion to approve the second Friday count in January?
So moved.
Motion's made by Chuck, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jody. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried. And next is the approval of the professional staff laptop recommendation. And
They are
This-
these.
this was, they were purchased, but, there was,
Someone had put in a purchase order.
there was a purchase, yeah, and we talked about this when we were down at,
They had 800 available, and somebody swooped in and bought 300 of them.
Yeah, it was actually maybe even greater magnitude, but yeah, thousands were available. Tried to capture it when we could with Scholar Buys, issued the check, and then we issued, the guy said actually so small, so they put in this huge order. So we missed out on it, so that's why you see, if you look at Scholar Buys, you can see the $19,900 credit. You also see in our accounts payable slip that we paid $19,000 to the organization. That's what that was for, and why we don't have laptops. But this covers the delta, is what Frank's attempt here was to do.
$3,050.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Got it. Yeah.
did everybody follow that okay? All right, so.
I'll move to approve the professional staff laptop recommendation.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carried. The last one is in reference to the work session that we did on 11/12. And this is from Barry this year. And it's basically a summary of what we went through. So,
Was there a new information on, which one is the new one? Because, Wise Valley for member,
Yeah.
there it is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yes.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, so equalized value is, how much our property values are worth.
Yes, I
Divided
don't,
by the number of pupils.
I guess I don't know what tertiary guarantee is.
Yeah, so those 3 bars that Debbie put in here are
Yep.
the 3 that go into the school aid formula.
Yep.
So if basically you're under those 3 bars, that means we're benefiting, in our form of our financial,
Yep.
aid from schools. If you're
Yep.
above those, I guess what's called negatively impacted or
Yep.
negatively aided, you actually lose out on that formula. So, yeah, we're in a long tail on the right, which means we're getting everything we can out of the school aid.
Yeah.
But if you look at Birchwood, not so much. On the left-hand side, they've got a way above.
Yeah, you'll see, there's a common theme in some of those, schools on the left with the vacation properties, whatever.
That makes a lot of sense though. It's kind of good to see that way.
Yeah.
So this will get us into the next steps that we need to do about these budgeting, possible referendum information, and things like that. So this is just a summary of what we talked about. There's nothing new other than that equalized.
Yeah, I just think that the thing was like the working sessions, like do we have a plan to maybe pick those up a little bit faster, planning for spring referendums or?
We need to. I was gonna ask Patrick and stuff, when it comes to scheduling the meetings, like if we can set something up on, in February here, but I didn't wanna say anything without talking to you guys.
I will say, to Derek's point from earlier, if you go onto the WASB website or the app, if you look on any one that have, referendum is a subject, you will be able to find some great informative slides that will kind of get your mind looking on the process. It's the time to move forward, is now.
But Patrick talked a lot about just the act of quoting and all the, general contractors and engineers that have to go into actually putting the dollars and cents
Yeah,
together.
and, making sure we, are clear on what the needs would be and why and how that is presented.
And we have to, I think, also look at, involving community and, it's not about telling the community, but actually having the community come in and say, yeah, you need to do
What do
this,
you
and
think?
you need
So-
to do this, and you need to do
And,
that.
and a lot of this, from what I understand, I've never done it before, but this isn't all gonna be generated here. We don't have to write the playbook on this.
No.
Baird knows what they're doing. So,
So is everybody up to maybe looking into February, possibly get started on some more discussion on this piece? All right, I'll get a hold of Patrick and try to set something up.
Good. I mean, think our regular meetings have that kind of better, right?
Sounds right.
Could be about right. Yeah.
As long as it's not the rest of that week, I'll be gone. Other than that-
Is anybody gonna be gone? I know you will be, but is there anybody else that can't make certain dates in February, like maybe the second week or so? Possibly? Okay. I'll put some dates out and see what Patrick can come up with, and maybe you can email us all and we'll kind of get back to him on that, whatever it is. Okay? No communications this evening? Okay. We have our scheduled meetings, that are listed. We'll try to see if we can get another meeting a little bit sooner in reference to building facility grounds and things. So anything else to add to that for meeting wise? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
so moved.
Don't everybody jump.
Yeah.
Who said- Okay, Jordan seconds it. All those in favor say aye.
Alright.
Thank you.
I didn't know if we wanted to take action. I mean, ours just was a nice improvement from what we usually have leading the meeting. Maybe we just continue on.
I thought that was long-winded.
I wanted to go like this again, like, Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Done well.
Oh, okay.
It's still fine.
Okay, I'll let her know.
For the right.
I'll let her know. I hope.
I would say fix the office. Come back. Throughout the day. Awful.
Did you get that Facebook Messenger I sent you over the weekend on the computer box? It goes over your desk.
Does it like go around? We
Yeah,
need to
that's
invest in some, we might maybe even ship it one. No, like, I've been trying to stay out there, the only reason I actually redid my account is for my sister. Cause I have a video.
I can listen to the audio again if I
Thank you.
Do you want me to take, oh, you got yours.
So please recognize this guy. Do you see this?
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Gotta talk to him.